Hello, everybody. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm Rhett Lewis. Coach Brian Billick and Bucky Brooks will be along here shortly on one of the landmark days of the NFL calendar because we get to fill out the remaining blanks on that calendar. It is schedule release day, and at the top of the hour, you will learn all 256 games of this 2020 regular season schedule. We know that as of now, it's scheduled to start on September 10th and will finish in Tampa, Florida on February 7th with Super Bowl 55. And you get just about everything in between coming up in our 3-hour special at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, we will keep you company. And with that, let's welcome in our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport. And Ian, the league, in advance of the schedule release, later tonight, sent a memo to all 32 teams detailing the guidelines for a phased reopening of all the club facilities. What more have you learned on that front?
A safe and equitable reopening of the facilities, which of course have been closed uniformly since late March. This is about Roger Goodell laying out for teams, team presidents, and other assorted members of personnel staffs how this would actually happen. Teams were instructed to have their guidelines, their protocols in place by May 15th in advance of the virtual league meeting a couple days later. Not that facilities would necessarily be open at that point, just to have them ready. And by the way, as the NFL works with state and federal officials on this, every facility would have to be able to open at the same time in order for one to be open. There's some clarity there. This, of course, would not necessarily include fully healthy players right now. Players who have been rehabbing would be allowed in the building. 50 or so other members of the organization would be allowed under certain guidelines, including but not limited to wearing a cloth over your face or some sort of mask, and daily screenings of every employee who walks in the building.
And again, would be an equitable opening of all 32 club facilities or none until all are available. The Baltimore Ravens now dealing with an off-the-field issue here, Ian. Police are saying that their safety, Earl Thomas, was the victim of burglary and intent to assault in a domestic dispute in which Earl Thomas's wife ended up being arrested. What more have you learned there?
And this is something the Baltimore Ravens recently put out a statement saying they just learned of this via media reports late last night. One of those reports was Earl Thomas himself going to Instagram and detailing very briefly an incident with his wife. TMZ then came out with the details. We now have more via the Austin police. This was from an incident from several weeks ago, and his wife was Nina was charged with intent to commit aggravated assault, also burglary of a residence with intent to commit aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Apparently she held a gun just inches from Earl Thomas's head. The magazine was out, but there was a bullet in the chamber. At this point, those are basically the details we know, and obviously when we have more, we will give them to you.
Okay, Ian, elsewhere on the football front, Cam Newton has now watched Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton sign new contracts with new teams to essentially be backups. What's Cam Newton's mindset here?
The whole thought the entire time was that Cam Newton wanted to be a starter and should be a starter. All that is true, but my understanding is he now would in fact be willing to accept a backup job under a perfect situation. Very few teams could do this. Most teams have their starters and backups set, but at the least, Newton would be open to being a backup, then maybe with a chance to be the starter either pretty close or potentially the year after.
NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport there with the latest for us around the league. Thanks, Ian. The 20
after. So it really becomes real now, and the fact that I can dive into putting my schedules together, that was an exciting time for me.
Coach, you talk about the exciting time being able to put your schedule together. I think for the players, It's all about identifying when is the bye week. When are we going to get the break in the season where we kind of recharge and gear up for the final stretch? It's also about finding those division games. Every coach will stand at the front of the room and talk about, we have to win the division. That's the easiest way to get into the playoffs. And finally, as a player, you love the primetime games. When are we going to play on the big stage so everyone can see us? Those are the things that we look for when we dig into the schedules.
I love it. So coach is looking at the logistics and Bucky, the player, looking at the prime time matchups. It just about makes sense there. But guys, look, with respect to the first 16 weeks of the regular season, I'm looking forward to the last week of the regular season, week 17, laying it all out on the line, seeing how the Seahawks and the 49ers wrapped up the regular season a year ago. Man, sign me up for that if we get that again. So I think, Bucky, I'm also looking forward to what matchups we see in week 17 and trying to predict which ones could have the most on the line in that final week.
Yeah, Red, remember, because you got a new playoff format. We have 14 teams, only one team in each conference gets the bye. So everyone is going to be going all out to make sure they can get that number one seed or the change of positioning. So yeah, week 17 takes on added significance with the new schedule.
No question, adding an additional team into the playoff field in each conference is going to make for an even more exciting Week 17 in the NFL. All right, guys, we're just getting started here on NFL Total Access. When we come back, a special guest whose value to the Bears can be summed up in one stat: targets. Allen Robinson had 154 last season, third highest number in the entire league. But after the break, why the word on Robinson's mind isn't reception. Schedule is here. Rich Eisen, Colleen Wolfe, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, Steve Mariucci, Deion Sanders, and Steve White, all giving fans a first look at the entire regular season schedule with in-depth analysis of every team and division. Don't miss the 2020 NFL schedule release presented by Verizon tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on NFL Network. And what will it look like for the Bears? The team certainly hoping to bounce back from a disappointing 2019.
The expectations in the Windy City are sky high.
Folks in this town think this is a Super Bowl team.
Trubisky to the end zone, and it's going to be picked off.
Remember why you play this game, man. For the love of the game.
Yeah.
For the brother next to you.
Yeah.
And the kick is good. Bears, they escape with the victory on the road. Now Mitch hit from behind. The ball is out of the I think Mitch is banged up. They're headed to the tent. It's Chase Daniels, fifth NFL start in 11 years. Flips it down the field. Overshot and intercepted the Raiders on the overthrow.
It's blocked. It's blocked.
So it didn't lay out the way the Bears had hoped today. Kick is up. It is no good. No! He missed it.
Trubisky pumps, and he's flat back at the 21-yard line.
And down goes Trubisky as the Bears drop to 3-5.
It's our day today. It's our day.
Looking to the end zone, pass thrown, touchdown Bears! Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky? Oh, hello.
They're almost the worst team in the NFL at throwing the football. You got to throw the football in the NFL to be able to win games.
The Bears will try to figure out what to do in 2020.
Expectations were not met in Chicago a year ago, and this team will look a little bit different in 2020, especially if Nick Foles makes his way onto the field. But whichever quarterback ends up starting for Chicago, they'll have a couple of new tight ends to work with after the Bears signed Jimmy Graham in free agency and drafted Notre Dame's Cole Kmet in the second round.
And joining us now, the Bears' leading receiver each of the last few seasons, Allen Robinson, here with us on TA. Welcome, my man. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
No, of course. Hey, look, we're just minutes away from the release of the 2020 NFL schedule. When you get your hands on that thing, what's the first thing that you're looking for when it comes out?
Definitely, any opponents that I've played against before, that I've had good games or something like that against. But this year in particular, I know that we do play in Jacksonville, so I'm definitely looking forward to going back to Duval to play.
What's that going to be like, do you think?
It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Again, it was something that was actually brought to my attention probably maybe a year ago, So I knew that we played them coming into this 2020 season, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
So that's been circled on your calendar here, your personal schedule for the last couple of seasons. It'll be fun to watch. Hey, look, in the meantime, obviously staying active is kind of part of the deal we're all kind of dealing with here. And I know that you've been really active, in fact, with the All-In Challenge, raising $17,000 for that unique experience for the winner to go see a Penn State game back at your alma mater with you. That's really cool. And you've also been involved, I see, with your foundation in trying to help kids that have been impacted by COVID-19. Can you give us a sense of what that's all about?
Yeah, so, normally we try to give back through education and things like that. Like we had our first inaugural reading room launched in the Boys and Girls Club last offseason. And we were looking to do that this offseason as well, to launch another one. But, with COVID and everything like that happening, we wanted to figure out how we could try to provide an impact, in the city that's pretty much similar to what we were doing, So just kind of seeing a lot of people, not only not being able to work, but not being able to have their jobs and not being able to provide food, and kids being in the house more and things like that, So we want to try to put together an initiative to be able to raise money, to be able to provide some of these families with food.
One of the headlines for your team this offseason was the Bears deciding not to pick up the fifth-year option on your quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. What does that tell, players like yourself and the team as a whole when you see the starting quarterback get that kind of news from the team that his option isn't being picked up for a fifth year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, that's the nature of the business.
Right.
We are in a results-driven business and a business in general, but again, for him, I think he knows that that's not the end-all be-all. I think that's more so, in my opinion, kind of from the media standpoint.
That said, what have your experiences and interactions with Nick Foles been like so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I know a decent amount of people who've played with him before, whether that's in Jacksonville or, former teammates of his in Philly and things like that, So, it's nothing but, good news about Nick, and again, and just hearing that he's an awesome teammate and just being able to go out there and compete with him. I think for us this offseason, it just was trying to make our locker room as competitive as possible and just being able to enhance our culture. I think that's what we're trying to do right now.
Well, you're a TV pro, because that's a segue right into the next topic I wanted to hit with you. Do you have any idea how many tight ends are on your roster right now?
From Twitter tells me 10. So that's what I've been hearing. So I'm not 100% sure, but that's what Twitter says.
A highly competitive group. I think our count is at 9 right now. If I asked you right now to name them, do you think you could do it?
I think I could. I don't know about first name and last name, but I think I could. Actually, I take that back, because I'm kind of drawing a blank from the rookie's name. But we have
Cole Kmet. That was your rookie.
Yeah, Eric Demetrius, Adam Shaheen.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. Jimmy Graham.
There you go.
I think Jesper Horsted.
Yep. That's pretty good.
The rookie, what is his Cole?
Kmet. Cole, you got it. You got it.
6.
Darian Clark and JP Holtz.
JP, I can't believe I forgot my boy JP. My bad, JP. When you see this, that's my bad, man. I drew a blank there.
I'll get you out of here on this. Obviously, a terrific year in Matt Nagy's first in Chicago. Obviously, didn't meet the expectations that surely you guys had set for yourself a year ago. What does 2020 look like?
2020 for us looks like getting back to the playoffs, and our number one goal, which is winning the division. But I think we have a lot to build on, and I think that we'll be back where we want to be this season.
Well, we can't wait to see it. Allen Robinson, thanks so much for spending some time with us. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So we'll keep a close eye on the Bears' schedule when it's released later tonight. How and who they start the season with at quarterback will be of interest, and at what point we might see a quarterback 2 if the offense struggles. Although, when you compare the numbers, Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles really not all that different. Just a couple of points separating them in both completion percentage and QB rating. Of course, Foles has that Super Bowl MVP to his name. So how do the guys at PFF think things will shake out? Here's George Shahuri.
What a difference a year can make. Just last summer, the city of Chicago was looking forward to the 100th NFL season, one in which Mitch Trubisky was sure to take that famous next step. Now, a year later, and the question is, will Mitch Trubisky ever even start again for the Chicago Bears? Since trading up one spot with the 49ers in 2017 to select Trubisky at number 2, the results have been underwhelming. His 65.8 PFF grade ranks just 29th out of 32 QBs over that time span. Despite the 12-4 record from 2 seasons ago, Trubisky's accuracy left a lot to be desired. On passes that traveled more than 5 yards downfield, Trubisky ranked 3rd worst in uncatchable throw rate at a whopping 36%. 36% of his passes downfield had no chance of being caught. This didn't bode well for 2019, and sure enough, Trubisky ranked 4th from the bottom on these downfield passes, while the Bears failed to recapture the same magic that won the NFC North. Enter Nick Foles. While there might not be much time for Foles to get acclimated to his new home, he is entering an offensive system that should be quite familiar. Matt Nagy, of course, is from the Andy Reid tree, as is Doug Peterson. Foles famously rejuvenated his career in Kansas City with Reid and Nagy before making one of the greatest Super Bowl runs in history under Peterson. Nick Foles has earned a 75 or higher PFF grade on just about a third of the games that he's played over the last 3 seasons, including those back-to-back 90-plus performances in the 2017 playoffs that we are not forgetting anytime soon. Trubisky has met that 75-plus grade threshold about once every 7 games, less than half as often as Nick Foles. The Bears are once again searching for a franchise QB. Until then, though, it's Nick Foles that gives Chicago the best chance to return to the playoffs and forget the infamous double doink.
The official release of the 2020 NFL schedule is in our sights, and while we don't yet know exactly when teams will face each other, we do know who is playing who, or is it whom? It doesn't matter. So let's line them up for you. It's the can't-miss matchups of 2020 right after the 2020 schedule release, and that 2020 regular season will feature 5 rematches of playoff games from a season ago, all 5 of which will actually occur in the same location in this regular season in which we saw them played in the playoffs a year ago, which means the Titans, author of the biggest upset in the postseason from a year ago, will go back to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Vikings will go back to the Superdome side of that big upset to take on the Saints as well. So looking forward to those playoff rematches in this 2020 regular season. Back here with Coach and Bucky. And Bucky, is there another game that you are most looking forward to that we know we're going to see in this 2020 regular season schedule?
Yeah, Red, a couple games. I'm looking in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills knocking off the New England Patriots, or at least that's what they hope. This should be the year where we see a changing of the guard in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills have surrounded their quarterback with Stephon Diggs. They have playmakers galore. They have a blue-collar team with all kind of worker bees ready to take it over. Let's see if on the big stage they're ready to knock out the champion. To win the AFC East, they have to go through the Patriots. We'll see if they're ready to get it done.
Yeah, for me, of course, it's all about Tampa Bay, right? We're talking about a division now that has Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and you could even throw in Teddy Bridgewater, maybe the best division top to bottom at quarterback play. Their out-of-division opponents are the AFC West and the NFC North. So that means Tampa Bay, along with that divisional schedule, is going to, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Packers, all at home. But when do they come out, particularly early, and was there a killer's row there for Tampa Bay and Tom Brady? I'll be interested to see if the league wants to kind of challenge them early.
Guys, and the game that I'm looking forward to is related to both of your answers. It's just whoever the Patriots are playing in week 1. Knowing that Tom Brady is not going to be there, I want to see that first snap that perhaps Jarrett Stidham takes as a New England Patriot. Much more to come as we continue keeping you company until the schedule release here on TA. If you don't stretch first, you're going to need a neck brace to follow the trajectory of Patrick Mahomes. He goes from back here with you on NFL Total Access, counting you down until the schedule release show, kicking off at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern here on NFL Network. Some great guests lined up to help us break down this schedule. How about in hour 1, some of the primaries from Super Bowl 54, including both of the participating head coaches and the defending champs with Andy Reid and the KC Chiefs, and Kyle Shanahan, the NFC champs there with the San Francisco 49ers. And then in hour 2, you got Tom Brady's former coach and Bill Belichick, and his new head coach, Bruce Arians, down with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers among the guests joining us there in the second hour. And how about in hour 3, the guys who will call the games, some of the best in the business, Al Michaels, Joe Buck, and Jim Nantz, all chiming in to give their thoughts on the games that they are most looking forward to. It's the 2020 NFL Schedule Release Show presented by Verizon, coming up next right here on NFL Network.
If the best offensive minds on the planet got together to build their football Frankenstein, Mahomes, minus the bolts, would be their creation.
We are the new kings.
Welcome again to the Magic Show. One of the best arms the league has ever seen. MLB closer kind of arm. He threw 96-mile-an-hour heat in high school. A baseball background that has become the foundation for passes we have simply never seen before.
Mahomes under pressure, off his back foot.
We've all heard the gunslinger comparison to Brett Favre.
Both have big arms and confidence that they can put the ball in a keyhole.
But even that isn't quite right. Pat is more accurate. He's Favre with better decision-making.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Don't forget, the Hall of Famer has thrown more picks than any quarterback in history.
Far back to the throw, and it's intercepted. R.W. McQuarters.
Mahomes, on the other hand, if he could make a comparison, Pat's eyes are on a different Packers signal caller.
The guy I compare myself to that I try to play like is Aaron Rodgers.
Patrick Mahomes is the closest thing I've seen to Aaron Rodgers throwing the football.
Teammates say 15 doesn't fear the big moment.
Ain't no better time to be great than today.
He thrives in it, which makes sense. When your childhood clubhouse is a Major League Baseball clubhouse, nothing, not a Game 7, not even a Super Bowl, is going to raise your blood pressure.
I think how momentum in baseball can swing here and there every single inning has definitely prepared me for football and how you have to just take it one play at a time.
It's the kind of environment that sketched the blueprint for a once-in-a-generation talent and a once-in-a-generation mindset.
They're going to talk about this forever. It's going to be special. They're going to talk about it forever, baby.
After losing the 2018 AFC title game, Mahomes' competitiveness produced an anger that lasted for weeks. He changed his diet, transformed his body, improved his footwork so he'd take fewer hits. And just like that, he added yet another weapon to an already astonishing skill set.
Maybe the best play yet of Patrick Mahomes' incredible young career.
That's championship swagger, boy.
This is the new face of sports in America. And it's almost impossible to believe we've only seen it start a game 36 times.
I just want to make sure it's all about the game, and that's how I want to play the rest of my career.
He's the youngest player ever to earn an NFL MVP.
This is just the beginning. We have a long ways to go. Thank you.
And a Super Bowl MVP.
We just won the Super Bowl. Kansas City, we're coming home, baby.
Left-handed passes.
He pulls a Houdini.
No-look passes.
Like a video game.
Touchdown runs.
Welcome to the sweet nectar of the end zone.
He's made the incredible ordinary and the impossible routine.
Kansas City, you've got a champion.
We did it. I love you.
Getting a look now at the Chiefs' 2020 regular season opponents. In addition to their AFC West opponents, they'll also play the entirety of the AFC East and NFC South, along with AFC division champs from 2019 in the Texans of the South and Ravens of the North. Okay, so guys, the defending Super Bowl champs reside in the AFC West. Which team on their schedule here, Coach, will provide the Chiefs the biggest challenge?
Well, you talked about them facing the NFC South and obviously that great run of quarterbacks. But I think the New Orleans game, for a lot of reasons, when we start the season, we're always talking about the Super Bowl preview, who's going to be favored to go to the Super Bowl. Clearly Kansas City, along with Baltimore, but I think a lot of people are going to pick Kansas City. New Orleans seems to be the favorite in the NFC. So this is going to be in New Orleans to see this matchup against the potential Super Bowl opponent. Should be fun.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I think the game that I'm circling, when the Kansas City Chiefs have to go to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, this was the matchup that we thought we were going to see in the playoffs a year ago when the Ravens had the #1 seed. Lamar Jackson, that powerful run game. I want to see if the Ravens are able to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together and how the Chiefs respond to that style. We saw them knock them off last year, but can they do it again? It is different when you go from being the hunter to being the hunted. I want to see if the Kansas City Chiefs wear that and wear it well.
Guys, I'm going to make an argument for the Houston Texans as providing the biggest challenge, considering they went into Arrowhead in the regular season last year and beat the Chiefs, then went into Arrowhead in the playoffs and should have beat the Chiefs up so big in the first half, only to see that lead crumble and the Chiefs march out of that game and into the Super Bowl. So that'll be a fun one to watch as well. A lot more to get to here as we continue on NFL Total Access. When we come back, for 20 years, every single AFC, Rich Eisen, Colleen Wolfe, Kurt Warner, Michael Irvin, Steve Mariucci, Deion Sanders, and Steve Weich will give fans a first look at the entire regular season schedule with in-depth analysis of every team and division. Don't miss the 2020 NFL schedule release presented by Verizon tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on NFL Network. Certainly a lot of eyes will be on the Patriots schedule, and that team this year, the Brady era, pretty good. Won the AFC East 17 of the last 19 years. So how does that division shake out this year? Let's send it over to the guys for a little players only.
What's up, family? I'm Real Mike Robb. I'm here with the guy who knows how to get after quarterbacks, and Willie McGinest, and our resident quarterback, and David Carr. David, I'll start with you here on this one. We're talking about the AFC East, okay? Who is your favorite to win the AFC East in 2020?
It's kind of crazy that we're even asking this question. It's been, I feel like 20 years that we haven't even touched this. We're like, don't worry about the AFC East. But for me, when you look at it, I mean, obviously Tom he's out of the way. So you still have Bill Belichick. You still have a formidable opponent in that division that knows how to win that division and has done it a lot. Great defense. But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. We watched the Buffalo Bills last year.
Talk about it, DC. Talk about it.
But I'm looking at Josh Allen right now as the guy that's going to take that next step. You add Stephon Diggs. Now you have a threat down the field to throw the football, and you got a big live arm. I love that. You got A.J. Epinesa, who came in. Now he's going to help rush the pass on the other side of the football. I really like what they're doing. I love what their coaching staff is. I love their makeup there. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. They fit that city perfect. I'm looking for the Buffalo Bills to make the jump here.
And guys, you already know I'm a Buffalo Bill. I want to jump through a table. I'm going to tell the producers I need to go up there this season and jump through a table. I love the Buffalo Bills. Last year, I said the Buffalo Bills would win the AFC East, but I was a year too early. Tom Brady was still there. He is no longer in that division. And guys, I love what they did in the draft. I love the running back they drafted in Zach Moss out of Utah. He is going to be that banger. He's going to be that 1-2 punch to Devin Singletary that's going to start to break the will of their opposing team. So I love the Buffalo Bills, but you also have to throw in the New York Jets there. They did draft Mekhi Becton. They're starting to change the culture there, and they're starting to be more of a physical team and add some pieces to help Sam Darnold. But Willie, I don't know what you're going to say, right? Because Tom Brady's not in the AFC East anymore, but who's your choice to win the AFC East this year?
Mike Robb, first of all, I don't want to see you jumping on any tables because I love working with you. So I want to make sure you're healthy and you're still doing the shows with us and working for the network. And Miami got better too. So the AFC East in general, I think they got way better. And the Buffalo Bills were impressive last year. And adding Stephon Diggs and doing what they did this year, yes, they are the team that everybody's got their eye on. But I'm going to say this. I know there's no Tom Brady. I know Gronk came out of retirement, but not to the Patriots. He went to Tampa Bay. But there is still a strong system in place with the New England Patriots. I'm a true believer in until you knock the champ off consistently, not one time doesn't do it, consistently, then you are not the champ. I'm saying the Patriots are still the best team in the AFC East because they do have the coaching staff in place. They don't have Tom Brady, but they will figure out something. Listen, the offseason is not over with yet, guys. We don't know what tricks the Patriots have up their sleeves.
Who's their quarterback?
We don't know who the quarterbacks. We don't know who the quarterback is.
Then how can you say they go?
How can you say Google Matt Castle? Just Google Matt Castle.
How can they win the AFC East and you don't know who the quarterback is?
There's a lot of uncertainties when the injuries happen with this team, and they still find a way to win. Remember, we never count them out during the season when things happen, when they lose players. Why? Because they figured things out.
Because Tom Brady's there. Because Tom Brady is there.
I get it. But even when Tom Brady didn't have his best games, they were still finding ways to win, whether it was special teams, whether it's defense, which is important too. Now, they did lose some pieces. Van Noy, they lost Jamie Collins. They lost some important pieces defensively, but they also went out and drafted some pieces that they will need on the defensive side of the ball. I never underestimate Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels in this organization and what they're able to do with what we may think or what people on the outside may think is average or just regular guys. These guys, they put in position, they find ways to win. And when you're not expecting something to happen, oh, wow, here comes a trade. Oh, wow, here comes a guy that they get in free agency or a guy that they may pick up. There's still 2 veteran quarterbacks that are out there on the market. I'm just reminding you guys.
Yeah, you're right.
Two veteran guys that are out there in the market. And there's a lot of time before week 1 of the NFL season. So I'm just saying, I know a lot of teams got better in that division. And yes, it's going to be very competitive. But until you knock the champs off, they are still the reigning champs of that division, the New England Patriots.
Well, Willie, I'm not gonna call you a homer, man, because you very eloquently put all those ideas out there. So I'm not gonna call you a homer, but you're right. The New England Patriots, they haven't won for so long. They haven't won this long without having a great system in place. So as you guys can see, your guess is as good as ours on who's gonna win the AFC East.
There are final countdowns, and then there are final countdowns. And this one is final, as in minutes away. The matchups you can't wait to see. The rematches, the revenge game.
I have a number of favorite games, but one that sticks out, a Monday night football game down in Tampa in 2003. Tony Dungy, it was his first trip back to Tampa after coaching the Bucs for so long. It was his birthday on that Monday night. Got Al Michaels, John Madden calling the game.
I think you go back to the steel curtain, then I think you go to the 1985 Bears, then I think you go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know if this is the best defense, but I think it's one of the 3 best defenses ever.
And the Bucs were the defending Super Bowl champions. That incredible defense, Sapp, Rice, Lynch, and Brooks, they were awesome. Hulk Hogan's in the stands. I mean, how do you not get fired up that Hulk Hogan's in the stands?
He may come off the top rope, man.
And we played pretty badly in the first half. Couldn't do much of anything.
And out in front and making the catch is Keenan McCardell for a touchdown. 74 yards.
Fired to the left. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
5.5 to play. 3rd and long. A near sack again. A Rocky duck. There's your interception by Rondi Barber.
We were down 35-14.
And that seals the deal. Bucs are going to beat the Colts with 5:09 to go.
And all of a sudden, with 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go, we just kind of got hot.
And Munger scores. He's in for the touchdown. 35-21. Jack with a high hopper, and leaping up in the air is Bashir, and he has it. Finding the open man, it's Harrison for the touchdown. And they're down by 1 score.
Touchdown, Colts.
We're tied 35-35 with 35 seconds to go.
We came back and beat him in overtime.
And now a 29-yard attempt by Vanderjagt. He hits the upright, and it bangs through. How crazy is this?
What a job by Peyton Manning.
How about the people who went to bed at 35-14 or before, waking up in the morning?
But what I remember most about the game was that plane ride after the game, how much adrenaline and emotion throughout the plane, all of the teammates, all of the coaches celebrate. Nobody was taking a nap on that plane ride. But I also remember, this is back in 2003 when people actually left voicemails, kind of the pre-text era.
Hey, this is Peyton. Leave a message after the beep.
And I had about 6 or 7 voicemails from some close friends, even a couple family members telling me how sorry they were about the game and telling me to keep my head up and try to bounce back next week. And I'm like, we won the game. These people clearly went to sleep. They gave up on us. They kind of quit on the Colts and went to bed. Let's just say I remember that around playoff time when these same people wanted to come up and wanted good tickets.
No, 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 no.
Anyway, it was a great memory and something that'll always stick with you.
Well, I don't think it should come as a shock to learn that Peyton Manning keeps receipts of those who counted him out there, left those voicemails, didn't get those playoff tickets, I would imagine, back here on Total Access with Coach Billick. Coach, back in your days with the Ravens, can you relate to anything that Peyton went through there in a game like that? Anything that kind of resembled what Peyton was dealing with?
Yeah, we in 2002 we had just come out of the Super Bowl winning year, and then the next year went into the playoffs with a heavily laden veteran team. Well, in 2002 we were the youngest team ever in the National Football League. I think we had 19 or 20 rookies on that team, so expectations were very low. Well, we had an early Monday night game against the Denver Broncos, who were supposed to be very, very good and were. And on Monday Night Football, when Al Michaels and John Madden were doing it, and in our production meeting before the game, Al Michaels almost insultingly kept saying, "Coach, can you make it a game for a quarter at least? Just try to be competitive at least for a quarter." And I could have been upset and offended, except he was right. We weren't very good. We were young, and Denver was pretty darn good. Well, we ended up winning the game, 34-23. It was a heck of a game. Interceptions for touchdowns and up and down the field, a punt return. I mean, it was a great game. The next day, as typical of Al Michaels, as classy as he is, he kind of called and sheepishly apologized, saying, "Hey, Coach, I didn't mean to disrespect you and intimate that you guys weren't going to be able to win. We appreciate it was a great game." I said, "Al, hey, you weren't off base. If we played that game 10 times, we'd probably lose at 9. But I'm glad we had the one really good game for you, and we're glad to chip in."
I can appreciate the honesty from both of you on both sides there, admitting what you expected and then, excited to see that the game more than met your expectations for it. So that's a fun story there, Coach. Never count out those Brian Billick-led Baltimore Ravens. By the way, you talked about the heavy number of rookies you had on that team. How about the Ravens rookies this year, earning them high marks for their draft performance? As you check out some of the top draft grades according to NFL.com, only 2 teams receiving A-plus grades, and the Ravens were one of them. It's like the rich getting richer there as the number 1 seed in the postseason in the AFC a year ago. But who does PFF say are the most improved teams heading into the season? Here's George Shahuri again.
Football's ultimate prize is won in February, but the moves that determine who makes it to the Super Bowl, they've most likely already happened. Here are PFF's 5 most improved teams of this offseason. At 5, it's the Bengals. They added the best and most valuable player in the draft with Joe Burrow, projected to be worth nearly 2 full wins above replacement according to PFF, and that's just in his rookie season. They topped that off with T. Higgins to bolster the receiving corps, while also improving their coverage with Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander. At 4, it's the Bucs. This might feel low, but they were 8-8 last season and had a pretty solid offense, all things considered. Regardless, Tom Brady is just that dude, having been worth nearly 18 wins above replacement over the last 5 years, the best by more than 3. They added Tristan Wirfs, PFF's number 2 tackle in the draft, and safety Antoine Winfield Jr. And oh yeah, some guy named Gronk, he's supposedly also moving to Tampa Bay. At number 3, it's the Colts. Phillip Rivers is only a year removed from back-to-back top 10 graded seasons and provides a massive boost over last year's Indy QB mashup. Second-round pick Michael Pittman is the perfect piece for the Colts passing attack. He ranked 22nd on PFF's big board after dropping just 5 passes in his whole college career. At number 2, there's light at the end of the tunnel in Miami. And it started with the signing of corner Byron Jones, the 3rd most valuable cornerback over the last 2 seasons, according to PFF WAR. Getting Tua, a QB with top 5 potential. At pick number 5, it's one of the steals of the draft. He was the only QB in the class with back-to-back 90-plus PFF graded seasons. And there was no choice for the top spot but the Arizona Cardinals. Think about their first 3 picks. The most versatile defender in the draft, Isaiah Simmons, in the 1st round. The 2nd most valuable wide receiver in the NFL over the last 5 seasons for their 2nd rounder. And then the steal of the draft in offensive tackle Josh Jones, PFF's 14th ranked player overall in the 3rd round. The only pick that earned a higher PFF draft score than Jones was Joe Burrow at number 1. If the NFC West wasn't already interesting, Kyler, Cliff, and the newly added weapons are ready to make their mark.
So obviously on a day like this, guys, getting excited to see how some of that improvement that we're seeing from the draft and from free agency will take shape on the field now that we are just minutes away from learning the 2020 NFL regular season schedule. So you know what, Bucky, let's start with you here. Which team are you most looking forward to seeing when we kick things off here?
America's team. I want to see the Dallas Cowboys and see how their schedule shapes out. I am excited about Mike McCarthy joining this team and the new addition, CeeDee Lamb in particular. Their 11 personnel package with 3 wide receivers on the field and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield could be unstoppable. I think it's setting Dak Prescott up to make a run at the MVP. So yeah, Rhett, I want to see the Dallas Cowboys make a run.
Coach?
Yeah, for me, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They were so good last year, so dynamic, and they, as you know, we'll see what they had the draft, the free agency. I mean, the season's real now when you know who you're going to play, where you're going to play, when you're going to play. It's a little scary just how good Baltimore could be as they've added some pieces and the next step for Lamar Jackson. So I think collectively for the Baltimore Ravens and the way it lays out, they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm also kind of interested to see what the Chiefs have for an encore here. We talked about a little bit with Patrick Mahomes, coming back now in his third full season as a starter. What kind of tricks does Andy Reid have up his sleeve here? And Coach, you know well, trying to defend a title is maybe not the best way to do it, but trying to go out there and win it again, right?
Yeah, and for every minute, the minute you win a Super Bowl, all everybody's talking about is, can you do it again? What are the stumbling blocks? And, it's to win back-to-back Super Bowls, that's not the tough thing. Just winning a Super Bowl is tough. So Andy's going to be very focused on it. They're all going to be about, the game this week and try to keep very focused from that standpoint. But, they're going to have a bullseye on them, and it's going to be fun to watch them defend that every single